Being black is more than a historical review or social commentary. It is a spiritual mandate and call to action. Pastor Ashimolowo challenges centuries of misrepresentation and dehumanization of the black race, using the Bible, history, and personal insight to lead readers into a renewed understanding of who they are, not as victims, but as vessels of divine purpose. He asserts that the black race has been systemically disempowered, but this must be reversed through revelation, reformation, and responsibility. Chapter by chapter in-depth breakdown. Chapter 1. Rediscovering Black Identity. The core problem is identity amnesia. Black people globally have been subjected to historical lies that they are inferior, cursed, or irrelevant. Pastor Ashimolowo confronts this head-on, arguing that a distorted identity leads to a distorted destiny. He lays a biblical foundation. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. Not inferior by skin or heritage. Key insight. Before black people can rise, they must unlearn lies and relearn the truth of their divine identity. Chapter 2. The Origins of Black Civilization. A deep dive into African greatness before slavery and colonization. Africa, particularly Egypt, Mizraim, and Kush, birthed some of the world's earliest achievements: mathematics, architecture, astronomy, and literature. The author exposes how the West has whitewashed African history. He also explains that many of the early biblical civilizations, e.g., Nimrod, the builder of Babel, were African in origin. Historical note: Egypt was not a European civilization. Pharaohs were Africans. The wisdom of the Egyptians influenced early Greece and Rome. Chapter 3. The Bible and Black People. One of the strongest chapters, a theologically rich rebuttal to the belief that Christianity is a colonial or white religion. The author highlights the Ethiopian eunuch, Acts 8, as the first recorded African Christian convert. He mentions Kush, Egypt, Libya, and Put, all nations within the biblical narrative. Biblical figures like Moses, Joseph, and Jesus all had interactions with Africa. The Bible includes black people. It does not exclude them. Spiritual reclamation: African people must reclaim their biblical heritage and realize they were part of God's covenant story from the beginning. Chapter 4. The Tragedy of the Slave Trade. A piercing, honest review of the transatlantic slave trade. He unveils the economic motivations behind slavery and how it was justified using distorted theology. Black people were dehumanized and treated as subhuman for centuries, often with the blessing of Western church leaders. He explores how this trauma affected generations, stripping people of language, land, culture, and dignity. Mental legacy: the slavery of the body ended, but slavery of the mind still exists. Chapter 5. Mental slavery and its effects. This chapter goes deeper into post-slavery trauma. Pastor Ashimolowo compares the Israelites' journey from Egypt with modern-day black people. Many have left physical chains, but still operate under spiritual and psychological bondage, inferiority, jealousy, poverty mindset, and division. He emphasizes that the renewal of the mind, Romans 12:2, is essential for lasting freedom. Deliverance begins in the mind. The worst form of slavery is internal, when a man has no physical chains but still thinks like a slave. Chapter 6. Racism and Systemic Oppression. The author explores modern racism, social injustice, profiling, media stereotypes, and institutionalized barriers. He analyzes subtle and overt racism and how it affects self-image, access to wealth, and representation. Encourages non-reactionary solutions. Rather than seeking revenge, black people must invest in building systems, producing excellence, and owning platforms. Strategy for change. Change won't come by protest alone. It will come by empowerment, ownership, and global relevance. Chapter 7. The Power of Education and Empowerment. One of the most practical chapters. Ashimolowo argues that ignorance is the devil's strongest weapon. He calls for a new African Renaissance built on quality education, entrepreneurial skills, innovation, value-based leadership, technological adoption. He urges black parents to train their children to be thinkers, inventors and leaders, not just survivors. Quote-worthy principle, education is the passport to the future. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Chapter 8, Rediscovering African Greatness. This chapter features cultural healing. Pastor Matthew examines great African figures, from historical leaders like Mansa Musa and Shaka Zulu to modern icons like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., and Kwame Nkrumah. He honors the contributions of black intellectuals, inventors, writers, and spiritual leaders. However, he warns against idolizing culture or leaders. Greatness must be God-centered. Restoration message. Africa's past is glorious, her present is shaky, but her future can be prophetic if properly stewarded. Chapter 9. The Role of the Black Church. The church must become a center for spiritual, economic, and political awakening. Many churches focus only on heaven, while communities suffer on earth. The black church must preach empowerment, raise nation builders, mentor youth, engage in economic development, speak prophetically to power. He urges a balance between spiritual fire and practical wisdom. Challenge to leaders. Stop shouting on Sunday but staying silent on Monday. Raise people who shift nations. Chapter 10. From Victim to Victor. A resounding conclusion. The author shifts the reader's perspective from pity to purpose. He reaffirms that black people are not inferior, cursed, or an accident of creation. He calls for a kingdom identity, one rooted in Christ, not skin tone or history. This chapter empowers black individuals to walk in confidence, clarity, and calling. Final charge. It's time to move from survival to significance, from oppression to ownership, from brokenness to boldness. Core themes and principles. Theme insight: identity: being black is divine, not deficient. History: Africa has a glorious pre-slavery legacy. Faith: Christianity includes Africa, always has. Empowerment: education, entrepreneurship, and leadership are the keys. Reformation: the church must rise as a reforming force. Restoration: God is calling black people to destiny and dominion. Final thoughts. Being black is a prophetic manifesto for the global black community. Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo doesn't just preach restoration. He calls for strategic rebuilding. With Bible in one hand and history in the other, he equips readers to rise above centuries of distortion and reclaim their rightful place, not in bitterness, but in boldness, brilliance, and blessing. Like and subscribe for more insightful and faith-lifting book summary. Also, do well to get a copy of this book for more depths.